What if I told you that everything you thought you knew about men was only half the story? Let's be real. Relationships are confusing, and trying to understand men can sometimes feel like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. But here's the kicker. There are harsh, undeniable truths about men that no one talks about. Truths that could save you years of heartache, frustration, and wasted time, if only you knew them sooner. Most women discover these truths the hard way, after countless failed relationships and sleepless nights wondering, why didn't anyone warn me? But today, you don't have to learn them the hard way. I'm here to reveal 5 harsh truths about men that women learn too late, truths that will change the way you approach love forever. And trust me, these aren't just clichés or tired advice you've heard a million times. These are real, raw insights, drawn from decades of experience, countless conversations, and the deep psychology of how men think. By the end of this video, you'll see relationships in a way you've never seen before. You'll stop questioning his actions, stop second-guessing yourself, and finally understand why men do what they do and what that means for you. So, if you've ever felt like men are impossible to figure out, stay with me. I promise, what you're about to hear will open your eyes in ways you never expected. Ready? Let's get started. Truth 1. You can't change him. Only he can change himself. One of the hardest lessons many women learn is this. You can't change a man. No matter how much potential you see in him, no matter how much you love him, change has to come from within. This truth hits home for so many women who fall into the trap of believing that with enough love, patience, or effort, they can turn a man into the partner they desire. They see his flaws but believe, if I just help him enough, he'll grow into the person I know he can be. Here's the hard truth. You can't build a relationship on potential. If he lacks ambition, drive, or emotional maturity, you can't instill those qualities in him. Take this as a rule. A man will change only when he decides to. And if he doesn't want to change, you'll find yourself drained, frustrated, and resentful. What to do instead? Look for a man who is already aligned with your values and goals. Don't try to fix him. Find someone who is already doing the work to be his best self. Truth 2. Men feel deeply, but they've been taught to hide it. Men are emotional beings, just like women. The difference? They've been conditioned to suppress those emotions. From a young age, boys are told to man up, stop crying, and be tough. As a result, many men grow up with walls around their emotions, not because they don't feel, but because they've been taught that vulnerability is a weakness. Here's where the disconnect happens. Women often misinterpret a man's silence or emotional distance as apathy, but the reality is, he might be feeling deeply. He just doesn't know how to express it in a way that feels safe or acceptable. How to build emotional connection. Create an environment where he feels safe to share without fear of judgment. Recognize that men often process emotions differently. Silence doesn't mean indifference. The saying, still waters run deep, applies here. Just because a man isn't vocal about his feelings doesn't mean he doesn't care or isn't affected by the relationship. Truth 3. Physical intimacy doesn't always equal emotional connection. This is a harsh one, but it's essential to understand. A man can sleep with you without wanting to be with you. For many men, physical intimacy is separate from emotional connection. While some women equate intimacy with love or commitment, men often see it as an act of physical pleasure. This doesn't mean all men are incapable of emotional connection through intimacy, but it does mean you shouldn't assume that intimacy equals love or commitment. Key takeaway. If you're looking for a serious relationship, don't confuse physical closeness with emotional connection. Look at his actions beyond the bedroom. Does he show consistent effort, respect, and care? That's what matters. What to avoid. Don't use physical intimacy as a way to secure a man's love or commitment. It doesn't work. Set clear boundaries for what intimacy means to you and ensure you're on the same page. Truth 4. Men are weak to feminine energy. One of the most overlooked yet powerful truths about men is this. Men are deeply drawn to feminine energy. In today's world, the concept of femininity is often misunderstood or dismissed. But let me be clear, this isn't about wearing dresses or fitting into traditional gender roles. Feminine energy is about being open, nurturing, and confident in your ability to both give and receive. Here's why this is so important. Men are naturally wired to respond to feminine energy. It's like a magnet. When you exude warmth, kindness, and grace, you create an environment where a man feels safe, appreciated, and motivated to give his best to you. The key to feminine energy. It's not about manipulation or playing games. It's about authenticity. Feminine energy doesn't mean being passive. It means knowing your worth and expressing it in a way that invites respect and admiration. Think about this. Have you ever seen a woman who effortlessly gets men to do things for her? Whether it's taking out the trash, fixing her car, or going the extra mile to make her happy, chances are she knows how to tap into her feminine energy. There's a woman I once coached who struggled with letting others help her. She had grown up being told to never rely on a man and prided herself on being independent. But this independence came with a downside. She projected an "I don't need you" vibe that made men feel unappreciated. When she learned to embrace her feminine energy, not by becoming dependent, but by allowing herself to receive help, her relationships transformed. Men wanted to show up for her because she created space for them to feel valued and respected. What this means for you: if you want a man to step up, you have to step back, just enough to let him. That doesn't mean losing your independence or lowering your standards. It means understanding that giving and receiving are both crucial in a healthy relationship. Truth 5. The loneliest person in the room is often a single man. This may come as a surprise, but the loneliest person isn't always the single woman. It's often the single man. Here's why. Society encourages men to suppress their emotions, avoid vulnerability, and tough it out on their own. As a result, many men struggle to build meaningful connections outside of romantic relationships. Unlike women, who often have strong support systems of friends and family, men are frequently left to navigate loneliness in silence. The hard reality: for many men, romantic relationships are their primary or only source of emotional support. When that's missing, they feel isolated in ways that women, who often have broader support networks, may not fully understand. This truth explains why some men hold on to unhealthy relationships longer than they should. It's not necessarily because they're in love, it's because they're terrified of being alone. A misconception to avoid: sometimes women mistake a man's unwillingness to let go for genuine love, but often it's rooted in fear of loneliness. Recognizing this can help you make more informed decisions about your relationships. How this impacts you. Understanding this truth empowers you to approach relationships with compassion but also clarity. If a man is clinging to you because he's afraid of being alone, it's not your responsibility to fix him. A healthy relationship is built on mutual strength, not one-sided dependency. By now, you're starting to see how these truths about men intertwine. Men are complex beings, influenced by societal conditioning, emotional needs, and a desire for connection, even if they don't always express it. The good news? By understanding these dynamics, you can navigate relationships with more confidence and wisdom. You'll recognize when a man is truly aligned with your values and when he's not, allowing you to focus on what truly matters, building a partnership that uplifts and empowers both of you. How to apply these truths in your life. Now that we've uncovered these 5 harsh truths about men, let's focus on how you can use this knowledge to create stronger, healthier relationships. Understanding these truths isn't about being cynical or jaded, it's about empowerment. The goal is to approach relationships with clarity and confidence, knowing what works, what doesn't, and what truly matters. How to navigate relationships using these truths. 1. Stop investing in potential. Invest in reality. When you meet someone, pay attention to who they are right now, not who they might become. Potential is not a promise, and holding on to the hope that someone will change only wastes your time and energy. Practical step: look for actions, not words. If he says he wants to grow but isn't taking steps to do so, believe his actions over his promises. Mindset shift. You're not here to fix or build someone, you're here to partner with someone who is already on a growth path. 2. Create a safe space for emotional vulnerability. Men feel deeply, but often struggle to express those feelings. By creating an environment where he feels safe to open up, you build a foundation of trust and emotional intimacy. Practical step: when he does share, listen without judgment or interruption. Validate his feelings rather than trying to fix them. Mindset shift. Remember, emotional connection takes time. Be patient and consistent in showing him that vulnerability is met with respect, not criticism. 3. Define boundaries around intimacy. Physical intimacy can mean different things to different people. Be clear about what it means to you and ensure that your expectations align with his. Practical step: have an honest conversation about the relationship early on. If he's only looking for something casual and you want commitment, don't settle for less than you deserve. Mindset shift: your worth is not defined by whether or not someone wants to sleep with you. It's defined by how you value yourself and the standards you uphold. 4. Embrace your feminine energy. Feminine energy isn't about being weak or submissive. It's about owning your strength in a way that invites respect, admiration, and partnership. Practical step: practice receiving. The next time someone offers help or support, say yes without hesitation. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of balance. Mindset shift: independence is valuable, but relationships thrive when there's mutual give and take. Letting someone pour into you doesn't diminish your strength, it enhances it. 5. Recognize loneliness for what it is. A man's unwillingness to let go doesn't always mean he loves you, it can mean he's afraid of being alone. Recognizing this distinction can help you avoid staying in unhealthy relationships. Practical step: ask yourself, does this relationship make me feel loved, valued, and respected, or am I staying because I feel needed? Mindset shift: compassion is important, but it's not your job to be someone's emotional crutch. A healthy relationship is built on mutual strength, not one-sided dependency. Key takeaways: what you've learned. Let's recap the 5 harsh truths. 1. You can't change a man, only he can change himself. Stop falling in love with potential and focus on reality. 2. Men feel deeply, but they've been taught to hide it. Build trust by creating a safe space for vulnerability. 3. Physical intimacy doesn't always mean emotional connection. Set boundaries and communicate your expectations clearly. 4. Men are drawn to feminine energy. Use this power authentically to create balance and connection. 5. Men are often lonelier than they seem. Recognize this, but don't let it justify staying in an unhealthy relationship. Why this matters: building better relationships. Understanding these truths allows you to approach relationships with clarity and purpose. You'll stop wasting time on people who aren't right for you and start building connections that are meaningful and fulfilling. A final thought. One of my favorite quotes comes from Maya Angelou. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. This applies so perfectly to relationships. Trust what a man's actions are telling you, and don't try to create a narrative that fits your hopes rather than reality. Your next steps. 1. Reflect on your past relationships. Where have these truths shown up? 2. Set clear intentions for what you want in your future relationships. 3. Share this video with someone who might need to hear these truths. And remember, relationships aren't about perfection. They're about growth, connection, and mutual respect. By applying these truths, you'll be well on your way to finding and keeping the kind of love you deserve. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.